Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Singapore for the 14th round of TNR Season 2. Now this is my best qualifying lap, and indeed I would nail a PB in this session and finally get the monkey off my back in terms of not quite getting qualifying right in leagues. It's been a while. It's been, I think, since Great Britain since I've had a good lap. I know I got pole in Belgium for this league, but everyone seemed to have an off session then. So we'll take you through this entire lap. Pretty happy with it. In other news, the last race was at Monza, and we crossed the line in that one P2 with a penalty, and my teammate in front also had a penalty. That was Kart Dude, meaning that P3, Whimpernator, my championship rival, would pick up the win. We were all within the 3 seconds. Now, of course, I had a penalty investigated because I only had 2 warnings, and indeed that penalty was overturned. So we actually grabbed our first win of the season last week in Italy. So instead of losing 10 points to Wimp, we actually gained 7. So a swing of 17 points there, just with that 1 3-second penalty. Very important potentially for the rest of the season. We are still quite a way back though, 43.5 points I believe it is, prior to this Grand Prix. So we're going to have to try and catch up to the Mercedes driver, who so far has had a great deal of luck this season. I think picking up 4 wins, crossing the line second due to penalties, and that's the sort of thing that I haven't quite had in terms of luck this season.
That's the fastest lap so far. Well done.
And that lap will be a 37.7 with Wimp joining me on the front row, my rival of course, very close behind. But the race will be wet, and well, this could change everything. Maybe Wimp will be faster in these conditions, we just don't know. Either way, I'm going to cover him off straight away into turn 1. I do not want him getting down the inside. Monza out of nowhere with a fantastic move and puts his Sauber up to second momentarily before some sort of collision demotes both of them out of the top 3. So that was a decent start for me. As you can see, Monza retiring on lap 2. Unfortunate for him. We get another fastest lap on the way to a 5-second lead.
Safety car, no overtaking, reduce your pace.
But the safety car reduces that to nothing, and indeed some cars actually come in for the intermediates. Now as you can see in this restart, I hardly got auto-braked, if at all, and that was because I waited until the safety car was in the pits before hitting the throttle. Now, if you look behind, it's V-Fingers and Waffles, but there's a collision, there's a yellow flag, and that changes quickly to Crook and Wimp. Now Wimp there is on intermediates, and that's a mistake at this point.
We're expecting you in around 2 laps, and we'll be putting you on the intermediate tyres.
Intermediate tyres is what Waffles just came out of the pits on. He's a lap down, and he does not catch me, so it's still wet tyres at this phase, with a 16-second lead, and Hellbent further back again. Waffles retires on those inters, and finally it's time to pit. I possibly could have stretched it and gone straight from wets to dries, but I had a good lead and there was no reason to risk anything. Wimp now was P2 on inters, very old inters though. And that gap was around 10 seconds at the time, which meant I'd made more than a pit stop since the safety car had come in. With another fastest lap, we extend the lead further, but in the pits you can see that dot on the map is actually Wimp going to super softs. We would follow him in the next lap,
Go now.
and we expected to lose a little bit of time. However, V-Fingers ended up overtaking him, which means I assume Wimp had to pit twice in a row, and the gap now was over half a minute. If you watch Wimp once again in the top left on the leaderboard, you can see super softs becoming ultra softs, which meant on the next lap it simply made another pit stop. And with the fastest lap, our gap was just increasing. Wimp now with the fastest lap himself, but look where we are on the circuit, 2 sectors ahead of him. And with Crook in the wall, it looked like it was going to be me, Fingers and Wimp, all separated roughly by half a minute. Unfortunately, Crook's crash would bring out a second safety car.
Okay, the safety car is out. The safety car is out. We need to form up at a reduced pace.
What is that luck? A 30-second lead evaporated in a game that you hardly ever see a safety car. We've had 2 this race, and it comes out when I'm past the pit entrance. Unbelievable. I had clearly enough to pit and make it out. In fact, V-Fingers did get into the pits, came out on fresh tyres, and would beat me out. I could have stayed out in hindsight, but possibly he would have had an advantage on those ultras against my worn supers. Now Wimp also overtakes me, having been more than half a lap back. I get my head on though, I look at the penalties, and V-Fingers has 6 seconds, so staying within 6 seconds of him will mean a position gained. But we need to get past Wimp, who all of a sudden slows.
Okay, this is Jeff, can you hear me? There's a fair amount of damage to the front wing. We suggest you come in as soon as possible, rather than risk it getting worse. We think there's a viable strategy change available to us. Would you like to keep to the current plan, or try the new one?
Now my party mate OP Magic will tell you I was very upset at that point. I had a red front wing broken completely on the right. So let's see what happened. We've got V-Fingers replay right here. He slows so as not to overtake the safety car. It's auto-braking by the game, but he's gone too early. Now let's see what happens on Wimp's screen, who initially I blamed, essentially saying he'd brake checked me. He doesn't actually brake, he just completely lets off, and I ran to the back of him, expecting it to be an acceleration zone. And as you can see now, I just can't make it through the last turn without losing a ton of time to him. V-Fingers has shot off into the distance, having, well, no damage to contend with, and his 6 seconds of penalties possibly won't actually matter by the end of this, because he's going to have such a gap. Still 4 laps to go, and I've got my championship rubble to fend off. I don't think he has any damage at this point.
We think there's a viable strategy change available to us. Would you like to keep to the current plan, or try the new one?
Analysing the incident will come later, but at the time I thought Wimp was to blame, and I was not having him passing me. Let's just say that. Several times he drew level, but I presented him with the outside line and there was nowhere for him to go. Indeed, when I actually got past him, it looked like he sort of scared himself out of the way at turn 1, and then there was no contact on my screen, but possibly there was on his. We all know that there's lag on this game. Once again he draws level. That time he actually clipped me a little bit, and caused me to go across turn 1 and turn 2 complex. And now this was possibly one of the best opportunities that Wimp had, drawing not only level but quite far in front, but the inside line was still good enough, and there's only really one more opportunity for him to get past me, and this is key. A championship battle, I have to keep beating him now. If he beats me anymore, the gap's going to get too big. And as you can see, can't make it past the end of Raffles Boulevard, which means we should have P2 sewn up here, although we're still cursing the fact that we don't have that extra 7 points for winning the race. But miracles do happen, and in the place I've never seen anyone crash, my championship rival crashes out. We'll have a quick look at see what happened on his screen, and so he just lose it here? Yeah, he loses it and just grazes the wall.
What happened? Let me know you're okay.
That's fairly extreme damage for that sort of touch, but either way, we'll take it. It's a boost to our championship, but what isn't is that V-Fingers wins the race. Now he is under investigation, as is Wimp. I'm not really sure what I can say about that, but hopefully we get some sort of improvement in our position or points battle due to that collision. We'll finish up with a shout out to Hellbent. Congrats on that podium. I've been Jacko. See you in Malaysia.